Hello, this is Lucas Palmeira from Imaginando, and I'm here for another tutorial on the RC. For today's tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to make some sounds from the song Save Your Tears by The Weeknd. It has some really cool sounds, so let's get right into it. Okay, so we're going to do the first sound, which is this high pad. It's basically two of the same DRCs with a little bit of panning. I do this to enrich the sound, so I get more harmonics on out of both of them. So I'm now taking out the effects and bringing out to the center and opening the RC, and we're going for the default patch. So the first thing I am going to do is change the sound to a square wave and thin out some of the harmonics with the pulse width. Then let's add another oscillator, drop an octave and detune it a bit again to increase the harmonics of the sound. Now we're gonna drop a little bit of the cutoff and increase the envelope generator to amount to make it more expressive. On the filter, this is the amount of the envelope generator to which we are increasing the attack now to modulate the filter. So we have slow attack, high sustain, and now we give it a little bit of reverb with a little bit more decay and some modulation. And this is basically our sound. So now we can bring it back to the original settings on the panning and have both playing together. And it sounds again like this. Turning on the effects, we have a delay modulator, which is giving it a little bit of chorus, a reverb to give it more reverb, taking out a little bit of the low mids and boosting up the highs. We are now going to the high lead, which sounds something like this. And we start by taking off the equalizer so you can hear the sound roar and a reverb. And open the RC and bring back the default patch. We're gonna start by dropping the pre-gain a little bit so we reduce the saturation of the sound and raise the second oscillator, which we're going to drop one octave and detune it a little bit. Next, we raise the sub almost to maximum and we increase an octave on the sub-oscillator. Drop the cutoff frequency just a little bit and also increase the envelope generator to amount that's controlling the filter. Next, we want to increase the attack on the first envelope generator, which is modulating the amplitude in time, and increase the release. So we have a longer attack, not very long, but a little bit, and a long release. And we do the same for the second envelope generator, though this attack is a tiny bit slower than the first envelope generator. Again, long release time. And we can now go to the effects. We're gonna turn off the chorus and have a slow rate and a medium depth. We now finally go to the reverb, increase the amount, give it some decay and also some modulation to make the reverb a little bit more rich and have some movement. And we can now turn on the ballad reverb, a low pass and a high shelf, and again a high shelf on the other two second equalizer, and we have the sound done. Okay, we are now going to do this simple sub bass, which is here just to double the electric bass that I recorded, just to give it a little bit more pump and sub. It normally marries well with electric bass, so we're gonna change the first oscillator to a sine, increase the pre-gain a little bit so we have a little bit of saturation and more harmonics on the sine wave. And we're gonna drop the envelope generator to amount and the cutoff to almost minimum. So next, what we want to do is put sustain at maximum. Actually, we want to increase the sustain at maximum on the second envelope generator, increase the attack a little bit. All the values of the first envelope generator are default. We can now turn the equalizer and we have the sound ready. Okay, we now go to the drone main. We turn off the equalizer, which is just cutting a little bit of the lows and low mids, and we bring back the default patch. We start by increasing a little bit of the saturation of the sound and raising the second oscillator to about almost top. And we're gonna also detune it a little bit. And we're gonna drop the cutoff filter to very low values and also the envelope generator to amount. We raise a little bit of the resonance of the sound. And we can now go to the first envelope generator and give it a little bit of attack so it doesn't start immediately. We are also going to raise the sustain to maximum and drop the value of the release. On the second envelope generator, which is modulating the filter, we're gonna give it a little bit of attack, increase the sustain a lot and the decay, and we're also gonna increase the release a bit. We can now go to the chorus, drop the rate, turn it on, and raise the depth as well. Finally, we can give it a little bit of reverb. Start by giving it a little bit of amount, increase the decay, and also some reverb modulation to make it a little bit more dynamic in movement. We can now turn on the equalizer again, and we have the sound drone main done. We are now going to the drone. This drone sound is made by two DRCs, two equal DRCs playing hard pan, one to the left, one to the right. This gives a really nice stereo effect to the sound. But for now, we can turn one off, bring it to the center, turn off the equalizer, and open up the default patch to start doing the sound. On this sound, we want to increase a tiny bit the pre-gain to give it some saturation. We increase the second oscillator to maximum and drop it 2 octaves and detune it. We can then go to the sub-oscillator, raise 1 octave, and also increase the volume to maximum. And we can now take care of the filter, bring the cutoff to 0, increase the envelope generator to amount by some much, and also increase a little bit the resonance. We can now go to the performance mode because we want this sound to have legato on and change the mode from poly to mono. We can now go to the first envelope generator and raise the decay to maximum, drop the sustain a little bit, and we want to increase the release by a lot. We then go to the second envelope generator, which also has decay at maximum. We increase a little bit of the sustain and also of the release. Finally, we go to the reverb, increase the amount, increase a little bit the modulation, and give it some decay. We now have the sound ready, so we can close this, turn on the equalizer, bring it back to the left, and we have the sound ready. You can just copy it to another track, and it should be done. Pan it. Okay, we are now going to the step keys. Again, this sound is 2 DRCs, exactly the same, panned one to the left, and one to the right. We're now going to bring it to the center and use only one, of course. And we're also going to turn off the equalizer and the K70 delay. We bring now the default patch. And let's start doing the sound by dropping the pre-gain to 600 because we're playing chords, too much saturation. Increase the oscillator too by a little bit, drop an octave and detune it. We now want to increase the resonance a little bit to give it more highs. We also want to increase the decay of the sound. Drop the sustain to 0, release at 255. And we go to the second envelope generator, in which we are only going to increase the release by a little bit. After that, we can go to the effects, turn on the chorus, drop the rate, and drop the depth as well, just a little bit. Only thing left to do now is give it a little bit of reverb, so we increase the amount by a little bit. We give it some decay and also some modulation. We can now turn on the other DRC, which is the right one, and bring this one to the left. And we have the sound. We also have to turn on the effects, in which we have an equalizer and a K70 delay at 1/8 time, and we have our stabs and our last sound.
Yeah, I saw you dancing in a crowded room. You look so happy when I'm not with you, but then you saw me, caught you by surprise. A single teardrop falling from your eye. I don't know why I run away. I make you cry when I run away. You could have asked me why I broke your heart. You could have told me that you fell apart, but you walked past me like I wasn't there, and just pretended like you didn't care. I don't know why I run away. I make you cry when I run away.
And this was it, guys. I really hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. Remember that we have the Ableton session on the description below, so you can download that and check out all the details and effects that we have on the session. It was a fun tutorial to make. We are going to amp up the content on our YouTube channel, so subscribe so you don't miss it out. I will now say goodbye and see you on the next video.